Hello, I'm Eman Ragab. I'm a senior researcher at the Ragab Center for Political and Strategic Studies and advisor for the Regional Center for Strategic Studies in Cairo. The conversation that I'm having right now is regarding the regional implication for the deal between Iran and the Western countries in the framework of the P5+1. In my analysis, such a deal between the two sides would have its own regional implications on the Middle East in terms of the architecture of security and stability in the region, as well as the transformation of the matrix of regional rules of the traditionally known powers like Egypt and GCC countries, as well as Israel itself. This is because the deal itself is considered as one of the window of opportunities for Iran to gain international recognition of its regional rule as a counterpart to any international power that is exerting influence in the Middle East, namely United States and Russia. And President Hassan Rouhani was very clear in demanding such a recognition in his article that was published in the Washington Post last year. Granting such a recognition to Iran as a counterpart to these international powers would cause a lot of tension with other regional powers that consider Iran as a threat to their interests and regional rules like Saudi Arabia and UAE and of course Egypt. In my opinion, there would be three main implications for such a deal if it is managed to be reached in the coming few months. The first implication is that the Middle East is going nuclear. On one hand, if the comprehensive deal that is going to be reached between Iran and the P5+1 consider and recognize Iran as a nuclear power in the Middle East, this would motivate other countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Egypt to obtain their own nuclear programs for peaceful usage, and in order to counterbalance the Iranian nuclear power in the region. On the other hand, this would lead to the activation of the initiative for making the Middle East a free zone of nuclear weapons that was initially proposed by Egypt in the 1970s and supported by Iran and the United Nations. It is expected that this time the activation of this initiative would be supported internationally by Russia and led regionally by Egypt as well as Iran. But the situation and the position of the United States is still unclear on this issue, given the fact that the American position depends very much on the Israeli stances and perception of such an initiative. The second implication for this comprehensive deal would be the increasing influence of Iran in Syria as well as in the Levant region. The deal itself is considered to be a deal not only focusing on the nuclear issue, but also it will deal with non-nuclear issues that is considered very important for Iran. These issues include the conflict in Syria as well as the situation in Lebanon and Iraq, beside the security of the Gulf region. It is expected that part of the deal between Iran and the P5+1 would be granting Iran a prominent role in architecturing the transitional period in Syria and defining the type of groups and its affiliation that would lead Syria after Assad. This would make Iran the regional guarantor of this transitional period, supported by Russia, that is considered to be the international guarantor for the peaceful settlement of the conflict within the framework of the United Nations Security Resolution number 2118. The third implication for this comprehensive deal is the transformation of the matrix of regional rules in the Middle East. It is very well known that once a deal is reached, especially the comprehensive deal between Iran and the P5+1, it will grant international legitimacy for Iran's rule in the region and will turn Iran from being an enemy to the United States or a rogue state, as President Bush labeled it, to be a friend or a counterpart or a partner to the Americans in the Middle East. And this would make Iran one of the pillars for achieving stability and security in the region. It is expected also that the rule of Iran is going to be played through a formula that is based on three pillars, one of them representing Iran, the other two is representing Saudi Arabia, given its strategic partnership with the United States, and the third one is representing Israel, given that its strategic alliance with the Americans. But the main challenge for maintaining such a formula in order to achieve stability and security in the region is how to convince other regional countries in the Middle East for accepting such a formula, especially Saudi Arabia, that is still having tension with Iran and refuse to share power and influence in the region with it, and other traditional powers like Egypt that is still seeking to play a regional role in the Middle East, especially after the second revolution that took place in June 2013. I think these three implications will unfold in the coming few months, especially if the comprehensive deal managed to be reached easily without any predicaments between Iran and the P5+1.